Hello, Zoom can hear me, right? Okay, give me one moment. Oh, wait. No, it's fine. Thank you. All right. Okay, yeah. Looks like you can hear me. All right. You guys good? Okay. Hello everyone. We're gonna get started real quick. Sorry about this in the way. So today's meeting is going to be about our cool capsule event that's going to be happening this Friday called Scare. The theme of this meeting is going to be choosing your own path. Please sign in. The sign in link is over there, linktree or at Cowboy Swift, linktree/Cowboy Swift. Just a few quick announcements before we get started. Paid membership is still available. You get really cool things, cool opportunities. It's $20 a semester, $35 a year. I think it's a pretty good investment that you want to put into yourself and for the club. So if you want to become a paid member, the link is on the screen, but it's also on the link tree as well.
So I am once again asking you to sign up for RBB. If you haven't heard, RBB is our competition that we will be holding on Saturday, November 12th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. This will be a great opportunity to learn about business, IT, and system administration. So, if you have a team of yourself or more than 2 people, up to 4, we encourage you to sign up. We accept people of all skill levels, and we hope to see you there.
Okay, this is just an announcement that this Saturday we are having another social. So this is going to be our pumpkin painting and movie night. So join us for a fun little night. It starts at 6 p.m. and paint pumpkins with us and watch a spooky movie. I'm really excited to see you guys there. Bye.
Hello, everyone. So just like Taylor said in the previous slides, being a paid member, it's also a benefit of getting the mentorship one-on-one with one of our alumni. So just to tie with the Hacktober theme, we have a lot of mentors and red teaming and penetration testing. So if you want to get the career guidance and someone to work towards your career goals, then you should sign up for this program, and the application link is in our link tree, and we'll close the application by the end of this weekend. And you have to be a paid member in order to be a mentee. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ping me or Jacob on Discord.
And just quick schedule. This is our current meeting. And the last meeting we'll have for this month is on Friday, which is our capstone event. So without further ado, hand over to Dylan to take it away.
I forgot to change some stuff. Anyways, all right, so starting off with Scare. So Scare is Swift's crack attack group event. I think you can ask Taylor about the reason for that name because I still don't know what that means. And essentially what it is going to be is it's going to be a culmination of everything that we've gone over in Hacktober so far, starting from the very first week where we were covering some very basic hacking with Metasploit and using Nmap for external recon to privilege escalation in a Linux environment, and all the way to Taylor's stuff last week, covering Active Directory and Windows post-exploitation and privilege escalation. So I've kind of detailed all that, all the main or the things I hope you guys can take away from the past 3 sets of topics that we covered. Okay. So for Scare, we're gonna have a little bit of a leaderboard going on. You guys are going to have to we're gonna register you guys for a platform that we're gonna be hosting called CTFD. There's not gonna be a CTF. We're just using this platform. It has CTF in the name, so don't worry too much about that. The whole thing with Scare is you're going to have an environment, like I said, which combines all the topics that we've gone over so far. All those previous boxes that we've given you guys in the workshops are all going to be present. So you guys are going to have a chance to take a crack at them all again with the same stuff that was present last time. And we're going to have a leaderboard that allows you to kind of see your progress and how many findings that you guys got. Now, the way you guys are actually going to make your way onto this leaderboard is through this help desk system that we're going to integrate. Within offensive security, a large part of it is communicating your findings and to the client, so then the client knows what to look for and then figure out how to remediate it, unless you can actually help them with that part. Now, rather than giving you guys a task to write like a 60-page report, we've opted for a help desk system where you guys during the workshop will be registered and you'll have access to this. Whenever you make a finding on the environment, you can submit a ticket and then essentially communicate with one of us on what that finding is, how you guys found it, and some extra details about it. Once your ticket goes through, we'll update the leaderboard and award you points based on how well you communicated that finding with us. So whether you just told us that you found something and left it at that, or you found something, provided detailed explanations and screenshots, we'll give you guys more points for that. But yeah, that's basically that's a little bit of what's going to be going on with the event on Friday. We're going to go into more detail during the actual workshop. For now, since this is essentially going to be a review for all those environments that we've encountered, we want to let you guys to choose your own path. So this is going to be the environment on Friday, and there are going to be 3 boxes. That's what the scope is for, and it's up to you guys right now which target you want to essentially review over. I'll just give a little brief review of each one. The first target is going to be a Linux machine from week number 1. It's going to be a black box engagement. That means that you're going to be completely on the outside. You're going to have no information about what's actually going on inside the box, and the scope is everything that you can access on the box essentially. The second target is going to be a Linux machine hosting a web application on port 80, and that's the only thing that you're allowed to be targeting on that machine. And the last target is from last week, Taylor's week, the Active Directory domain controller, and it's going to be an internal assessment. So you guys will actually have access to access inside of the machine and whatever is inside of it. So which target do you guys sort of want to review over and take a look at? Yeah.
Can we do the black box?
The black box. Okay, so you want to go over the first week number 1, the Linux one? Okay.
Well, the sharing is now paused, so we gotta
I'll just sharing some.
share the entire screen.
Is everyone fine with choosing the Linux black box target as the one we want to review over? I'll take that as a yes.
Also, if you're interested in doing the Scare competition, make sure to supply us with the black boxes.
Right.
That's another good.
Well, you don't want to do remote console? Gotcha. Okay. I guess that's my week then, so. Oh, Lord, what the? Kind of lag. Okay. So. Let me grab the IP address of it again. Does anyone happen to remember the IP address? I already forgot. Everything is on the subnet. Does it?
Would it be better for like them?
Yeah. Oh, you guys can, oh, Okay, yeah. I'll zoom in a bit. Oh, Lord. Okay, so does anyone happen to remember the IP address of the target? Because I kind of forgot. Well, it's in the slide. I just have negative memory.
192.
192.
.168.1.2.
Thank you. We just make sure that's, oh, wow, that is. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. All right, let me just make sure. What? Keyboard, your keyboard kind of whack. All right, let me try to make sure I can actually hit it. So I'm just gonna do a little quick ping check. All right, yeah, I can hit it. So does anyone want to start us off here? What's the first step that we should be looking towards to actually attack? Oh, yeah, Clemens. All right, Nmap scan. Would you like to provide me the actual Nmap scan to run? That works. .2, I think. So we're gonna let that run now. So does anyone want to give us an idea of like, after we run our scan, what are we gonna do with the information that we get from our scan? I mean, we don't have any information yet, so we kind of have to wait a bit. Okay. That's a little bit of information. So we have some ports on the side, 21 TCP. Oh, you guys can see that crazy. Okay, 3000 TCP running an HTTP service and 8080, which is also running an HTTP service. So based on all this information, right, we know what ports are open. We have an idea of what services they're running, and we have some detailed names on the service versions. What should we take a look into right now? Or like, what do you guys want to take a look into right now? Port 8080. Okay, let's take a look into port 8080 then. So one way we could take a look into this is we can access it on our URL. Wait, but it's in the remote console. Right. Okay. Okay, port 8080. So since it's running an HTTP service, one way we can access it is through the URL and including the 8080. Yeah, exactly. Something along the lines of that. Just drag the chat over here so you guys can see what's going on. Should I leave it here?
Sure.
Oh,
Actually, that's against what you're leaving it on.
whatever. All right, anyways. So, I mean, it's the Tomcat service, as the Nmap scan was already showing us. Does anyone have any idea of what we can do with this service, or does someone want to move on to another service if we don't know what we can do here? What?
Version number is very important. So would it be search for an export with that version number of Tomcat?
That's a good idea. Let's see if there's anything related to that. I'd like to copy on that.
This is control shifts. It's like, it seems like a terminal. Wait, they changed color.
You know what? And this is what I want on top. Okay, so one thing that we can always do with our Nmap scans is Nmap is going to usually return us a service name and a service version, which we can see on the right. And it's always a good idea to take a look at those on Google to see if there's a public exploit with them, because that usually makes our lives a lot easier. But there might not always be one. So if that's the case, just be prepared to always move on to the next port. Do not have Google access. That is a real shame.
Yes.
Just see, can't seem to hit the. Yeah, okay, that's not an option right now, so just use this if you don't mind. So what was it, Apache Tomcat? Apache Tomcat. What was it? Apache Tomcat, Coyote JSP Engine 1.1. Let's see if there's anything that we can find with this. And being totally honest, I don't see anything that kind of sticks out to me as a public exploit on this. It just seems to be that this specific Tomcat version is included in a lot of people's discussions online, but there's nothing necessarily public or like a public exploit associated with this. Is there any other service that we want to take a look at? Or at least any service that that seems easier to exploit? FTP. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at FTP then. And well, I mean, this kind of sticks out. So let's take a look into this. It says BSFTP 2.3.4. There was a backdoor. And based on this syntax, the whole MSF thing, seems there's a Metasploit module associated with this service version. Does anyone have an idea of how we can use Metasploit to exploit this then, or at least try to?
Maybe we should run the tool first.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So we can start off by opening up Metasploit with the MSF console command. Gonna let that spin up. Okay, so we saw the module over here. So how can we actually, I mean, I guess we could kind of copy this word for word, but how can we search for the module? What did it go? How can we search for the exploit module that we want to use on this service?
Use search.
Yeah, so we could start off with running search, and then since the service we're trying to exploit is BSFTPD, we search BSFTPD. And here's a module result for it, which we can just use by saying use, and then the index number that appears on the left, that would just be use 0. Does anybody know what the next step from here is? Yeah, so we can show the options that this module is going to need, and one of them is required, and it is also empty. And as Andrew said in the chat, we need to set the R hosts on this one, or the remote hosts, or based on the description, our target. Our target in this case was 192.168.1.2, because that was the machine running the VSFTD service. So what do we do now? We just set the options. If I rerun options, I can see it's actually there now. So what's the next step from here? Does anyone want to take a guess?
You have to set a payload.
I mean, the payload's already set right here. Or at least this is the default payload. So what else can we try from here?
Try running it.
Yeah, we could just run the exploit, typing run, or by typing exploit. I like to use run because it's shorter. And it's already being used by something else right now. So sometimes things are exploitable and sometimes things are not. So there's that. Let's see. So this leaves us back with the only port left is 3000 on HTTP, because it seems that something happened with the VSFTP and it might not actually be vulnerable. Either that or the box is just kind of screwing around. That's always a thing. So I'm just going to access the last service that we haven't taken a look into yet with this.
Oh, Dylan, you should have internet access on your machine now.
Oh, I should. Let me see.
Yeah.
And I I don't know why your colors are all. like this.
There's the search thing right there, so you have to close that.
Yes, I think the router finished moving up like right after.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, so my router was just dead. One. Well, I'm gonna try to search this last thing up one more time before we just access it. Well, we could do both at the same time. And it seems that there's also some exploits related with, maybe not necessarily this version, but this service in general. So let's take a look into this. It's kind of slow. Okay. So it says this exploit module, so it's another Metasploit module, will exploit this debug console running on this service, right? And based on what we're seeing here, I think this is the debug console. The endpoint is literally says console. So I would say that this is something that we should at least take a look at and try to work out with Metasploit. So try to search for that. So does anyone want to help me prepare this Metasploit module again? All right. So once again, here are all the options, and our host is not configured yet. Does anyone know what we're going to configure it based on what we did last time? Right, so we're going to set it to 192.168.1.2 again. This, oops, forgot to say our hosts. Go. We're just going to run it again. I'm going to see if this thing works. And it's going to fail because if we take a look at the options, it's expecting the port to be 80. But according to Nmap, the port was 3000. So we just fixed that. This. We could try to rerun it again. And well, I mean, it kind of just worked, as we can see. So just like that, we've gotten our foot into the door of this machine. What's our next step from here?
System.
I mean, yeah, but this is a Linux machine, so there's no system. I could just pop myself into a shell in Metasploit by just running shell command. I was in a interpreter shell, but that's slightly different. So I type in who am I? Type in ID. I'm basically in a Linux machine, or I'm basically have terminal access to the Linux machine. So what's the next move from here?
Export suggested.
On Metasploit? Want to use that?
Yes.
Is there not another script that we could take a look into, try to run? Yeah, okay. So one of the scripts that we introduced back in week 1 was the linpeas script. Linpeas is a script that does a lot of privilege escalation checks. And you could just Google it, it's like the first thing that pops up. I'm just gonna download it onto this machine and run it. So oops. How do I right click on this? Oh, it's 2 fingers. Okay. I hate that. Okay. So does anyone have an idea of how we can run this script on the victim machine? Because I accidentally already downloaded onto my host, but how could we actually get this running on, you know, the machine that we compromise so we can find what we need to work with?
Use upload.
I mean, yeah, that's one benefit of interpreters, that we can actually run and upload. So I type in help, I think upload. Right, we can upload. So I'm just gonna. See, I think it'll be like this. I'm gonna upload it here, hopefully it works. What?
Are you on?
Oh, did I even I don't think I actually downloaded it. I'm gonna try that again. All right. Okay. About myself. Okay, let's get ourselves back into the shell, and I just uploaded it to the temp directory. So if I run ls tech la on temp, I should hopefully see it right here. Just gonna change my directory there. So how can we actually run this script now that's on the machine? Does anyone have an idea how we could actually run this so we can actually see what to?
First of all, use,
All right, that's one way to do it. Then what?
Then you have to do, /.
All right. Let's hope this doesn't crash me. Okay. Another option would have been to running it through just like bash or sh, because it would just read it and work with it too. But yeah, it's also works to make it executable. That's more intuitive. LinPiece is going to take quite a bit of time to run because it's going to run like 6,000 different commands in the span of like a minute. So we're just going to have to wait for the output to come.
There's like execute assembly or something of that sort from interpreter. We could just run
What?
executables from your host machine.
Not to my awareness.
Well, that was like an execute command, but I think that's refers to a binary that's on the system.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe I think we could start looking through some of this output and seeing if anything looks particularly interesting. So, I mean, I'll just go ahead and look for something interesting and see if you guys can spot it, unless there is nothing yet. Okay. Does anyone see anything particularly interesting from this part of the output? Yeah. Yeah, usually it's the orange highlight, although sometimes that also doesn't mean anything. But in this case, just based on reading this, this is the part of LinPiece that checks for pseudo access, or basically running things with root privileges. And it says that the user that we're on is allowed to run the following command with pseudo access as all users with no password required for input. So does anyone see like a potential flaw or like a potential privilege escalation vector in that? Well, we can actually just find out if we go to the website that I introduced back in first week, GTFO bins. And if we just search the actual binary that we want to leverage, in this case, vi, it's right here. In this case, we want to leverage the pseudo access to it. Looks like all we have to do is run this command and something's going to happen. So we can we can figure it out by just running it. Let's see, do I have my shell back? Okay, there we go. Okay. See. Well, I mean, that's something. Well, it did something. It says now I'm root. Which is fairly convenient, because that's the whole, or at least that was our goal here, was to get root access. But yeah, that was at least one way to get root access on this machine. Does anyone want to see if we can investigate anything else from LinPs?
Can I do like a very quick explanation?
Yeah.
So does everyone like understand what Dylan had done with all the steps he did with like running LinPs and then finding this is it pseudo privileges?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, this program and then be able to get root from that. So just a quick recap. How do I get back to that command? So anyways, I don't know how to get back to that command, but or that.
You just
the
scroll
LinPs
up, right? Oh, like you need to open up the T-Monks thing, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I have to go way up for this. Yeah, so whatever this section is the output of sudo-l, which basically says what programs can you run as root? And something as like innocent as like a text editing file, if you're able to run commands through that, then there is a way to escalate your privileges. So for this example, our current user who's unprivileged is able to run this text editor VI without any passwords. So they're able to just run a text editor as root. But if you're able to somehow execute commands through a text editor and you can run the text editor as root, that basically means you can run commands as root. So that is what Dylan basically did in here to get root. Does that help a little bit? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, for some reason, text editors can run commands and, or at least a lot of them in Linux can, for whatever reason, so that's a thing. But yeah, so that was one of the ways to do all that. Let's see. Let me see if I can find some. We should just get that out of the way. Okay, yeah, this shell is just dead. Okay. Let's see if we can find one more way really quickly. And I'll scroll up to the part and see if you guys can find it. There's usually a lot of output in LinPs, and eventually you just get used to skipping through a lot of it because a lot of it's kind of worthless. Okay. Does anybody see anything interesting about this part of the output, the whole SUID stuff? Does anything stand out?
Bash is highlighted.
Yeah, bash is highlighted. Just like last time with this whole vi text editor situation, we could take a look into this with the same website. In this case, GTFO bins. GTFO bins is going to cover everything SUID or pseudo related. So if we look all the way down, in this case, LinPs was at the SUID section of its output. So we scroll down to the SUID entry for bash. Looks like all you have to do is run the bash and add the tag-p flag. So I check my ID right now. And I run that and I check it again. This time I see it says my EU ID is root. So if I run who am I, it's going to say I'm root now. So that was another way of obtaining root access on this machine. Hopefully you guys got those steps down, or at least like the whole methodology behind it, because that's going to be sort of a recurring thing in penetration testing. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this meeting. I think we're just about out of time, so let's see. Or just stop sharing.